All right, in this session, I'm going to be talking about how you can track design trends using the Power BI integration. So once again, this is the initial template that it comes with. Already, we have a decent idea of how things are trending based off of cost, but a lot of people actually aren't putting cost information into their models. So I want to show you how you can do this using just the quantities. So the first step is going to be opening up a new page. And I'm going to get started with one of these visuals here. So I've used line chart before, I've used area chart, and I've used stacked area chart. In this case, I'm just going to use area chart. It seems a little more visually appealing, so that's why I'm going to use that. And in previous sessions, I just used grid data. In this case, I'm going to use some of the other fields that I have here, and I'm going to jump into model version. So within here, there are a couple different model version reportings. So we have a function here that's model version, and this is going to say the version number that you have in Assemble, and then the version name, or you could just use the version name here as well. So I'm going to use the version name for this. And then for my legend, I'm going to put category name. And for my values, I'm going to use takeoff quantity. All right. So right off the bat, you see that there is a pretty good trend in here. And if I go to my formatting tools and I turn my data labels on, I can actually see the quantities for each of these. So here's a breakdown for all these different categories that I have in my model. But the first issue that we have is that this is clearly out of order. So you have, August 2013, and then it jumps to 2014 here, and then back to 2013. So we need to reorder the way that this is being reported. And you can reorder the way things are being reported within a visual by hitting these three dots, the ellipse up here. And then we can go sort by the model version name. All right, so still out of order. So I'll come in here and do sort by ascending, hoping that I can get this in order. But ultimately, I see that this is still completely out of order. So the reason I like to use model version name here is because I can come in here to my project, and if I come to the ellipse up here, I can actually go back and change the model version names that I have. I have no control over V1, V2, V3, but I do have control over the way these things are being reported. So if you have a bunch of different model versions, it will make sense for you to put in a model version name that's going to make sense to be able to be sorted. But rather than doing that, I'm going to come here and I'm just not going to use model version name. I'm going to use model version, the function. All right, once again, V4, V6, V7, out of order. I'll come in here, sort by model version, and then sort by ascending. Now I finally have things in order, which is great. So I only have one model within this project. But if you did have multiple models, it would make sense if you came to your model version and used model name and created some type of filter and just isolated that down to that model version. Because there is a very high probability that you're going to have maybe 8 versions of an architectural model, but only 6 versions of a structural. They're going to report together, so you want to make sure that you can differentiate those. So now we can come in here and create some additional slicers. So maybe I want to isolate this down to a particular family name. So let me just click on something random here. We're going to go with the CIP step double. This only exists in version 1. Let me just keep looking here. All right, here we go. We're going to take this structural column W shape. So now we see throughout the whole entire design phase how this is being reported. Now, one of the challenges that we have right now is we don't actually know what the unit is here. So I'm going to go to the overview page, and I'm just going to click on this visual, hit Control-C. This allows me to copy this visual. I'm going to go back to the other page and hit Control-V. And now I see that this is being reported in metric tons. If we don't like the way that this is being reported, we could go back to Assemble We could go to edit project and change those units there. So I'm going to select Imperial. And when I hit refresh, this is going to change that unit. So this takeoff quantity that we've been looking at throughout this whole entire time, so right here, this is going to report exactly the quantity that's going to be the leading quantity within assemble. So if I come in here, and let me just regroup this information based off the different structural materials. So I have some steel here. It's reporting in tons, but if it was not and it was reporting linear feet, I could come to the properties, and within this quantity right here, I can actually change the way that this is going to be reporting. So right now it's by weight by volume. If I put it by length or volume, and I went and I refreshed in Power BI, it would report that number that came from assemble. So keep that in mind if you do want to track your tonnage for steel, if you want to track your cubic yardage for concrete, this is how you can start controlling what's actually going to be reported in Power BI. So this is the basics of tracking your design trends. You can get a little bit more detailed if you do bring in cost, but this is the most basic version of it just by looking at your quantities.